Yuji Tadori and his newfound awakening versus all of the disaster cursed spirits in Jujutsu Kaisen. Could the current Yuji take them all on at once? Could he even beat them one-on-one, or would he still have a tough time like before? Well, today I'm going to be answering all those questions and explaining my thoughts on this very topic. But if you haven't already, I would very much appreciate it if you like the video and subscribe to the channel, as it really helps me out more than you know. And if you have any video ideas you'd like to see me do, just comment them down below and I will for sure read them. But with all that being said though, let's get to the video. So before I get on the current Yuji and where he stacks up, I'd like to go through and explain how strong the disaster cursed spirits are, just so we know what Yuji is up against. Starting off with Dagon, he's arguably the weakest of the disaster curses, although still not weak compared to the average grade 1 sorcerer, as Hanami, Maki, Naobito, Megumi, and even Toji was needed to take him down, although Toji did just absolutely destroy him. Getting onto some of his abilities though, Dagon has one of the few complete domains in the series, where he creates his own tropical island with a surrounding body of water, which he can also control, which he can use to trap his targets and manipulate his Shikigami fish to attack as he pleases, as there's no escaping his attacks because it's a sure hit inside his domain. Speaking of domain though, Dagon is pretty talented with his own, because not only is it complete, but he's also able to separate the domain's sure hit ratio of power between the targets as he wants. As in his fight in Shibuya, he's able to send 70% of the powers to Naobito and 30% to Hanami. Now, although he is a strong barrier user, he lacks physical stats, as even Hanami, pre-awakened Maki with Playful Cloud, and Naobito could all combat him and react to his attacks. And we also see the people on the level of Toji are just able to completely blitz and overwhelm him to the point he can't even fight back. But that basically covers Dagon, as we only really get to see him fight one time. So let's just move on to the next disaster curse, which is Hanami. Now, one thing Hanami has going for them is that they're the most durable of the disaster curses, as in a chapter extra with Jogo, it's stated that Jogo is technically stronger between the two, considering how their elemental types match up. But if Jogo were to get hit with 5 of Yuji's black flashes and Todo's Playful Cloud Strike, he would die instantly, which, as we all know, Hanami did not. And on top of all of that, Hanami then got hit with a hollow purple and still survived, which just shows how insane their durability really is. As far as their ability goes, Hanami also has a complete domain, although we don't exactly know what it does, as well as also domain amplification, which allows them to neutralize any sure hit attack from a domain, and they're also guaranteed to hit their target no matter what curse technique they possess, even bypassing Gojo's infinity. Although it won't be that useful in this particular matchup because Yuji just doesn't have a domain to use yet. Hanami can also manipulate basically anything in nature around them, and the left arm of theirs can be used to basically shoot a cursed energy blast from the flower. One useful skill that Hanami has though is the plant that can spawn from the ground, and once it does, it can basically take away your fighting intent for a few moments, as we see whenever it spawned against Gojo and Yuji. As well as having great durability, Hanami is also pretty fast, as we see they're able to keep up with Jogo while fighting side by side, Jogo being one of the faster cursed spirits we see in the series. Hanami's strength feats though is honestly not all that great, other than contending physically with Yuji and Todo pre-Shibuya. But since I covered basically everything Hanami has to offer, let's move on to Jogo. Jogo is arguably the second strongest disaster curse after Mahito, just from the showings he has in the series up until his death. To start, he has a complete domain expansion, Coffin of the Iron Mountain, which when casted basically resembles the insides of a volcano, which is extremely hot, as even in the character guide it says that the average sorcerer couldn't even survive just standing in the domain itself. But inside the domain, he can send scorching hot attacks at his targets, which also won't miss and will burn you to a cinder. One of his most powerful techniques though is Maximum Meteor, which can wipe out an entire town, as it's stated in the fan book, and is even implied to be able to damage 15-fingered Sukuna if it would have hit him. But that is the problem with it though, because it's very slow compared to other attacks he has, as we see even Kusakabe and Panda are able to get out of the explosion radius an instant before it hits the ground. Jogo also has normal fire attacks, and he can set up fire traps around an area that can burn targets whenever they get near, like how he used them against Maki, Naobito, and Hanami in Shibuya. Jogo's durability also isn't bad either, as even a red by Gojo isn't able to one-shot him, and he's able to take normal attacks from Gojo and Sukuna, as we see whenever they fight in Shibuya, then dies to Sukuna's fire arrow. Although all of that is still extremely impressive, because he's shown to be able to take hits from the strongest characters in the series. Jogo's speed is also pretty underrated, as he's able to easily kill Naobito, who was the second fastest sorcerer at that time, although he he did only have one arm, and he also just straight up blitzes Maki and Hanami, and is said to be on a whole other level than Dagon, who they had just fought. His strength though really is in his Jujutsu techniques, even though his only real fight were up against the strongest characters. He did however end up earning Sukuna's respect, even calling him strong before he dies. One more thing I'd like to mention about Jogo is that he also has domain amplification like Hanami, but again this really won't be that useful in this matchup. Moving on to the final and strongest disaster curse, Mahito. Now Mahito is described even by his fellow disaster curses as different than them, as he's more self-centered and wanting to grow his own techniques rather than fight with the rest of the group. Mahito, like the others, also has a complete domain, self-embodiment of perfection, which he can open in 0.2 seconds, something we don't see another disaster curse be able to do. But in the domain itself, he can utilize his curse technique of being able to transfigure the target's soul while removing the condition of having to touch the target, and it is guaranteed to hit while inside. Like Hanami puts it, literally being in the palm of his hand. Besides just his domain though, Mahito is pretty creative with his other techniques like body repel, soul multiplicity, and being able to warp his own body into basically whatever he can think of. He's also the only disaster curse being able to shown to hit a black flash, which gave him an even higher understanding of cursed energy compared to the other curses. Mahito, while in his body of distorted killing, is also 200% tougher than his body before, and in some translations it says he's 200% stronger than before, although we never got to see him at his peak potential since he was already weakened from his fight against Yuji and Todo. But as you can imagine, this Mahito is a lot stronger. Yuji's normal attacks no longer even affect this Mahito, and only ends up being defeated by a trick from Todo and another black flash by Yuji after already getting hit with multiple black flashes from both Yuji and Todo already. Mahito though is also an extremely gifted fighter, being able to take on both Yuji and Todo at the same time while they were all at 120%, and even nearly defeats both of them despite the boogie woogie combo from the stronger Yuji and Todo than the one that Hanami fought. It's even stated that if Yuji hadn't hit that black flash at the end, Mahito would have won. Even before getting his power up though, he could still blitz Todo with a black flash and overwhelm Yuji one-on-one. Overall though, Mahito at his peak and feat-wise is definitely the strongest disaster curse. And now let's move on to Yuji and talk about how strong he currently is before I give my thoughts on how this battle would go. Yuji right now is insanely strong, and I would argue he's even reached the special grade levels of power. He's learned piercing blood and has blood manipulation. He's got reverse curse technique that he can use to heal himself. He has a simple domain now. His punching accuracy, as Sukuna describes it, is a problem. And on top of all of this, he's able to use Sukuna's cleave and dismantle because of his new awakening as a sorcerer. Yuji physically is somehow even more of a monster than he was before, as he's able to keep up with a full power Yuta in combat while fighting Sukuna, as they're able to combo off each other. He's able to keep up with fully realized Maki as well before awakening and the time skip where he trained also. And he's even able to keep up with and outperform Sukuna, who had just hit multiple black flashes in hand-to-hand combat. This awakened Yuji is by far one of the strongest characters we've seen so far in the series, from his Maki level speed to his unmatched ability to hit black flashes repeatedly. Still though, even through all these power-ups, what's even more impressive is his durability, as he's able to take multiple direct cleave and dismantles along with countless other attacks from Sukuna, and he's able to keep fighting no matter what happens. This Yuji is definitely a monster. But since now I've wrapped up talking about everyone and their abilities, let's see how the fight would go. To start off, obviously Yuji has a massive stat advantage against the disaster curse spirit, as he's able to keep up with people that are able to blitz Dagon. So I think the disaster curses would honestly have a hard time reacting to his attacks. Say they all four fight him at the same time, he might just blitz one of them to start the fight and either use cleaver dismantle immediately to another one after he does so. He's also just highly likely to hit multiple black flashes against them, but honestly he doesn't even need to. Barely any of their techniques would be a problem for him, because he can either just tank the attack or he has a counter for it. Like domain expansion, he has simple domain, and the speed discrepancy would be so large that he would honestly just do something similar to what Toji did to Dagon and just blitz and absolutely destroy one of them in their own domain. He also won't be affected by Mahito's auto transfiguration because he's so strong, along with knowing how to reinforce his soul and knowing about the contours of the soul. So he still pretty much hard counters Mahito because he can hit Mahito's soul directly. The only difference is that he's just so much stronger than Mahito now, he would just die die a lot quicker. Like I said earlier, if one of the curses opens their domains, he can just use simple domain and just attack whoever casted it. Maybe he would die somehow if Jogo could get a lucky hit with maximum meteor, but I honestly don't see that happening because for one, it's just too slow, and Jogo would also just get killed before he can get it off. But maybe they could make a plan where Hanami distracts Yuji with the flower that takes away fighting intent, and then Jogo tries to hit him with maximum meteor, but that honestly still might not hold him there long enough for it to come down and actually hit him. It's honestly hard just to make a situation where the disaster curses win, even if you give them the benefit of the doubt and gave Mahito his body of distorted killing at full power. Maybe if Yuji couldn't kill him for some reason and then Mahito just kept growing and growing until he got to Yuji's level, then maybe, but that's honestly not likely to happen because Yuji just honestly destroys them all. He's just currently too fast and strong now. He can blitz all of them and is just insanely strong and durable. He honestly has all the tools needed to be able to take all of them on at once, let alone 1v1. So as you can tell, I have Yuji winning this probably 9 out of 10 times or so, and obviously one-on-one, I don't think any of them stand a chance. But if you guys made it this far, I appreciate you very much. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, I would very much appreciate if you left a like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. If you do expect more content like this soon, and with that being said, I'll see you guys next time. Peace.